amazing community this is. What an adventure this morning has been. I wrote that as one of my favorite quotes, and one of my quotes for my morning talk this morning was, what's the most exciting thing about an adventure? What's the most exciting thing about an adventure?
You don't know what's planning.
You don't know what's next, right? You don't know what's around the corner, right? What's the most scariest thing about an adventure?
You don't know.
You don't know, right? You don't know. And so I had written that, and then this whole morning's been kind of like that. And even my talk that I wrote, actually my talk is called Light Unto Light, but it was she took the quotes from last year, because I didn't get them in time. which worked out perfect though, because I guess I talk about the same thing all the time, because it ties totally into what I'm saying and sharing today. Light unto light. And it's interesting, like I wrote this whole thing and put it together, and I try not to overdo it. I just try to come up with ideas. I do like a little map, what I call mind mapping kind of thing, and I kind of have fun with it, and then I kind of put it together and make a little order, and then I try to let it go. Which is the hardest thing for me to do, let it go, and then trust, right? This is what I'm talking about, but it's the hardest thing to do. And so, I don't know why you chose that song this morning, Nature Boy, where that came from, if you do that all the time, or that's the first time you've ever done it.
First time.
First time.
It's the first
Because
time.
it's song, it just changed my whole talk. Life is an adventure, you don't know what's around the corner. Years ago, when I first became a minister in Chicago, my senior minister, I was working as the staff minister, as assistant minister, and when I was doing they call it an installation, when you first become a minister and they do the ceremony, it's called an installation. And so I was doing my installation, and she had, what was her name? What's Bobby's last name? Bobby Wilson. She's a famous jazz singer in Chicago, who would come to our center periodically. And she came and she sang Nature Boy. She sang Nature Boy at my installation. And as the song was coming, she surprised me with this song. And so as she's singing the song at my installation, it was so meaningful, and tears pouring down. I'm like, okay. But it just so resonated with my life, my journey, and just the way it was sung, this beautiful words and the essence of it. And the greatest thing we'll ever know is just to love and be loved in return.
Yes.
Isn't that's it, that one liner, like you said, it's like, that's it. And that's all my life, and I'm always trying to get something to be enough, or push something away, or and then if I get what I want, push what I want away, then everything's gonna be okay, right? So it's like this journey. So this Nature Boy song. So when I left Chicago to go to Raleigh, my minister friend came and sang that song when I was installed at the Raleigh Center, and she surprised me again. Right? Because you know how much I love that song. So when I left Raleigh and I was moving to California, I was on my way and I stopped in Huntsville, Alabama, and I was actually very much affiliated with the Center for Spiritual Living in Huntsville, Alabama. And I just stopped by as I was traveling across the country. So I was driving out to Palm Desert. And I stopped and they sang the song Nature Boy. Just out of the clear, I didn't tell them I'm going to sing it. And I'm like, oh my God, this song is telling me that I'm on the right path. It's guiding me. I get to Palm Desert, I'm at the Palm Desert Center, my first Sunday there. And they had this jazz singer lady, and she just happened to sing Nature Boy. The week after, as I was driving across the country. So that song has such significance to me. So I must be in alignment. Right? So if I'm in alignment, we're in alignment, right? So we're here together, we're on this path together, we're all one, So I wanted to share this light unto light, this idea of light unto light. That when we get into alignment with our wholeness, the oneness, right? That's really what life is all about. It's about creating this space to get into alignment with the oneness, the wholeness of who we are. And the whole, if you think about the whole, W-H-O-L-E, the whole of all of creation, right? To get in alignment with that, right? But light unto light, all we have to do is have a willingness, just a simple willingness to align in this light of wholeness. We don't have to try and do anything. We don't have to have deep spiritual practices. You can, they're wonderful and they're helpful. But all we have to do is have a willingness to align in the light. the light of wholeness, and the light comes to us. It's fascinating how it works. When we get into alignment, how it just starts, everything starts to come together. We start to recognizing this light. Then we start to see it in everybody and everything. We see it in the flower. We see it in that beautiful song that Arjuna sang this. That was so magnificent. That was it a song? Would that be considered? It was just beautiful. It was just like, and I felt like when I was in it, I was one with it. Did everyone else feel that too when he was writing that? It was so ancient. Something about it was very ancient and tapped into something deep. You know, so when I was doing this talk, coming together with this talk, I was thinking about the chakras. Are you familiar with the chakras, everyone? Like we have these 7 chakras that are the energy, the chi of the body, right? And I was, that we have these lower 3 chakras, which are root chakra, which just connects us to the earth, to the Pachamama, right? And that when we're, that's our kind of our root, where we can, when we're in alignment with our root chakra, we're in alignment with life, with creation, with nature. We trust nature, we trust the creative process when we're in our root chakra, right? We trust life. And we move to our sacral chakra, which is the creative energy, right? This is the creative source energy, right? And it's in our sacral chakra. This is the reproductive area, the hips region, right? This is where we're the giving and receiving of the light, of the oneness, right? And so in that energy of that light, it's very powerfully creative. It's coming from deep within us, and it rises up. But sometimes it gets stuck right here. You know, this is the solar plex, right? You know what the solar plex is? This is our will, right? This is our strength, and this is a good thing to have, right? Our will and our strength and our, you know, competence and all that stuff. But it can get in our way at the same time. We need that to create. We need this so we need these lower 3 chakras to survive, right? But ultimately, we're reaching up to the 4th chakra, which is the heart chakra, right? The heart chakra is where we open up to the light of creation, the light of oneness. It's everywhere present in the entire universe. And so it's the ascension. I always kind of thought it was like you're opening up the crown chakra and it's coming down, the light's coming down. But I think it's the opposite. I think as we clear out these lower chakras and just kind of, you know, recognize them, but, you know, don't let them overtake us. Because they're survival mode. We need survival, right? We need these lower chakras to survive. So, but it's an ascension up to the heart chakra. And that's where we're living from. That's ideally where we're living from. You know, we're living from the heart. There's a knowledge, there's a wisdom in our heart, a vast wisdom within our heart. And it's the wisdom that's a knowing. So I said light unto light, it's knowing unto knowing. There's a deeper knowing within us, the recognition of something that's already there. It's not something we have to figure out, you know? And when we get into alignment with that, it's amazing how we start to open to just like a knowledge, like a guidance that we can just tap into in any moment. It's interesting how I had a dream this last week, and the dream was, I don't always have these epic dreams. It's been a long time, I think, since I had an epic dream, but I had this dream, and I've been kind of preparing for this. I've been listening to Luang Ban Li this week and reading some of his quotes, and he wrote a book called The Alchemist, The Light of Alchemy, The Alchemy of the Light. And he said, so in one of his quotes, let me see if I can find his quote real quick, it's so powerful. 1 second. He says, when we step outside the self-protecting image of separate self, and all of our present patterns of self-preservation, or ego self-preservation, we can directly participate in the work of the whole, the mystery of working together with the forces of creation and the light of the world. Imaginations leave, the real cooperative work begins. So when we break down that separate self, we actually tap into this wellspring of wisdom and insight. So back to my dream. And so I'm doing this Luang Ban Li, and I'm reading this stuff all week long. I was just getting into it so much because he's always talking about the light. There's this infinite, we can relate to this light. It's like a direct experience. And so I have this dream, and I'm talking. I'm doing a talk, and there's a handful of people, and as I'm talking, there's more and more people coming. There's like 50 people, then there was like, I don't know, 100, and then all of a sudden there's like thousands of people. And this is a dream. I'm not making this up, this is a dream, okay? And so, it didn't really happen, but it's a dream. And so I'm having this, and all of a sudden there's thousands of people in this dream. And I'm saying, feel the light, feel the wholeness. And they're call and response, feel the wholeness. Feel, I kept hearing this dream, feel. We have to feel the wholeness. It's something that we feel. It's not something that we get. And so over here, so feel the light. And people were saying, feel the wholeness. And I would say, feel the light. They say, feel the light. And all these people coming back, right? And I woke up from this dream, and I wrote it down. All right, oh, feel that. That's what this is about. This light unto light. This is letting myself feel it, to recognize what's already there, right? So I was all like lit up by that dream. And the next morning, I was talking to one of my wonderful friends, and I call him my soul brother. He lives in Miami, and I was telling him about this weird kind of fantastic dream that I had. And so I was telling him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's pretty fascinating how that all came through your dream." And I said, "Okay, well." So we were talking about it. So at 9:15 in the morning at the Center for Spiritual Living in Palm Springs, every morning 9:15 a.m. we do a live stream. I'm not sure if you're familiar, if you heard about that. We do a live stream on our Facebook page. And so each of the different ministers does one at 9:15 every morning. And Friday morning is the morning that I do it, right? So normally when I do it, it's just a live stream. Anyone ever do a Facebook live stream? Anybody? You do it here? You'll notice if you look at it as you're doing it, there's like a little window where it shows you how many people are watching you while you're doing it, right? And usually when I do it, there's maybe 3 to 5 people, and then people will watch later on in the day, but usually maybe 3, sometimes there's been like 1 person, it's like not a lot of people. So anyway, so I'm doing this, and I'm doing this talk on the live stream, and all of a sudden there's like 4 or 5 people watching, then all of a sudden it was like 25 people, then 35, 50 people, 60 people. I'm like, this is weird because this never happens. That's never happened before. No one, that many people never really viewed my videos on Facebook. I said, that's so strange. So anyway, I let it go, and I went about my day, and I looked a little bit later, and it was over 500 views, which is over the top, right? And then I looked at the impressions, like they have this thing called the impressions, like how many people I guess looked at it, and maybe just, I don't know if they just, I think it's called an impression. Now usually there's maybe 119 of them, or 20, 200 sometimes. And this time there was 11,500.
Wow, my goodness.
I'm like, this is bizarre. And by the time I looked at it yesterday, there was over 12,000 people who kind of looked at this and made an impression on this particular video. And it's weird because it's never happened before. I thought, isn't this odd that this happened right when I was doing this light unto light? I don't know if it'll ever happen again. But I thought, wow, this is so fast. I think it's the universe conspires when all we have to do is open up a little bit with the light. And as we have a willingness of the light comes to us. And we don't have to figure it out. Yeah? We don't have to figure it out. You don't have to figure anything out. Our job is just to get into alignment with the light. And the universe will conspire to have Nature Boy be sung the day that you're speaking at all times, right? So I can be reminded of the light. Because don't tell anybody, I get a little caught up sometimes. I don't know about you, but I get caught up in the world. And I don't see the light. And I can go down what I like to call the rabbit hole. Anyone ever go down the rabbit hole?
No.
It's where I get angry about what I'm seeing in the world, what I'm seeing on YouTube or Facebook, social media, and I can get caught up in that. And this happened to me, you promise you won't tell anybody? This has happened to me last year, beginning of last year. I was frustrated about some stuff that was going on in our government and in our world. And I was looking at some video or something on YouTube or something, and by the way, never look at the comments. If you look at the comments, it's a road to nowhere. But I look at the comments, you know why? Because I get a charge out of that, because I want to be right and make them wrong. Again, don't tell anybody. Okay, I have this like us against them mentality. I've had that since I was a little kid. I'm born and raised in Chicago, and we had kind of this us, I was an Italian guy in Chicago, and if you weren't Italian, there was something wrong with you. You were Polish, there was something wrong with you. You were, Irish, there was something wrong with you. You were Mexican, there was something wrong. There was always something wrong with you if you were not Italian. It's just the way we were. We said we were proud. We weren't doing it to be prejudiced. We didn't think, but we were. It was proud people. Yeah. But I was born and raised, I was always us against them. I fought with my brother. My brother was a year older. All we did was, we were always in competition. You know, I have it deeply rooted in the psyche of who I am. As it's like, what do they call it? Hardwired, right? And there it is. And this happens to me, perhaps last year, I'm reading something in there, and then all of a sudden I see someone commenting something like, oh, I can't believe they said that. I look up on Google, I'm gonna find the perfect link, then I'm gonna prove my point how wrong they are, and put that in and copy and paste it. Next thing you know, I'm off and running, and I'm talking to myself in my office. And my husband hears me in there, and he knew what I was doing. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. He's like, you're supposed to be the peace guy. You're evoke peace now. This is your focused ministry. You go around, everyone calls you meditation peace mark. Like you're supposed to be. What are you doing? And I went, like he called me on it. It's good to have people in your life to call you on your. You know that it's good to have that actually. Well, I was I felt horrified that I was oblivious that I was even doing it. This cuts us off from the light. I've come to find out. It cuts us off from the light of oneness. It feeds the anger. It feeds what I don't want. It feeds it. I'm feeding it. This happened to me last month again. Some of the stuff's going on right now. I don't even mention any names, but we maybe guess. And I get like frustrated with all this stuff, and I get pulled up by it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this again. Oh my God. It's like horrifying to me. Us against them, and I get in there, and it's a charge, and I don't like it, and I think it is wrong, and I want to fight against it, and I realized I was suffering in that, the resistance to what is, and I forgot again. I forgot light unto light. Everything is happening on purpose. Everything, whether how ridiculous, how insane, how wrong I think it is happening for us. And I thought, wow, this whole insanity that we're seeing right now in the world, in so many different ways, in so many levels, right? What if it's happening for us? Maybe it's asking us to grow, right? Maybe it's asking us to step outside of our comfort zone and to grow and to step deeper into the teachings of the science of mind and into the absolute truth of it, which is when I do a treatment work with somebody, and I don't care how sick they are, I don't care what the circumstance they got going on, my job as a practitioner, as a minister, is to see the wholeness, to see the oneness. That's my job. That's why I've been trained. And my heart is totally knows that. And yet, what do? We are in a time right now that it is imperative that we stand guard at the threshold of our mind, and that we be the light, align with the light, not in a forceful but in a very compassionate way. But don't let ourselves off the hook, because we go down the rabbit hole, and I realize, why do I keep doing this? I thought I was let that go, but there I was again, going down the rabbit hole, doing this again. And I just want to pull my hair out. That's what happened. So it happened again last month. Oh my God, I've gone so far again. I've gone so far. Why do I do this to myself? I thought I was supposed to be spiritual. What is going on? This is my practice. This is happening for me to stand strong in the light. That's happening for us. So what I did? I went on my little social media things and I deleted, because I'm not good at self-discipline, I guess. So I keep looking at it. Well, why keep looking at this stuff that I can't do anything about? What is the sense of it? They don't want to hear what I have to say anyway. Have you noticed that, anybody? Anyone ever try what I'm talking about? Anyone ever do this? I'm not the only one? Am I the only one?
Yes.
Okay. I am, yeah. Having a conversation with my family member. I'm not going to mention any names. Sees things completely opposite than me. Completely. He still believes in some things that happened a few years ago. Thinks that they still happen, and there's some big conspiracy. I'm okay. He's my brother, and I love him. Every time we hang up the phone, he says, I love you. He lives in Texas, that'll give you a little idea where he's coming from. Sorry, Texas. They got a lot going on down there, but they do, and they have some stuff. All this stuff is flaring up in our face just to stretch ourselves beyond my little limited idea of what that is into a deeper, more expansive light of compassion that stands in the face of the ridiculous and doesn't feed it. So I deleted it all. I deleted every link that I have in my YouTube, every link in my Facebook, every link, whenever it pops up, I delete it. Say, I'm not interested, I'm not interested, I'm not interested, I'm not interested. I keep unsubscribing to this and to that. Any little thing that has any of that in there, I am unsubscribing. I need a break. Because I'm not good at not doing that. I'm an addict, alcoholic. I'm a recovering alcoholic addict, so I have that in me. It's hard for me. I need to get myself, what do you call that? Abstinence, right? I need to, so for at least for a period of time. I'm not going to bury my head in the sand. And my beautiful teacher said, Don Bird, said, Mark, you don't have to look at all that stuff. You'll know what you need to know. Someone will tell you what you need to know. Mm-hmm. Someone will tell you this happened and that happened, this is what's happening. You don't have to go hunt for it, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I was doing. And I realized what it was this kind of tribal root chakra, us against them mentality that gets fired up. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm feeding it. I'm feeding what I don't want. Mm. It is so important for those of us who have awareness that we stand guard at the threshold of our mind. And that we stand guard and catch ourselves we're going down that road of fear, of us against them. Looking at the worst case possible scenario of what could happen. And stand in the light of wholeness and oneness and vision for what is happening in the light. It is incumbent upon us. It's so important for us individually. Deepak Chopra said this a couple months ago. He said, I spoke to people around the world. I spoke to the Dalai Lama. I spoke to political people all around the world in different countries. I spoke to all these people to try and get us to all come together. And you know what he said? It hasn't worked.
No kidding.
So where are we? What are we left with? Ourselves. We have to do it individually. You doing this practice individually every day, standing guard at the threshold of your mind every day. If we do this every day, we are a light of wholeness. We are a light that is needed in this world to protect and to guard our planet, and to create space, but not with an agenda. We've got to be careful. I have an agenda for this to be different. We don't want to have an agenda. We want to be proactive, step into possibility of what's possible, have the highest and best possibility of the vision, like the reading of our statement of your beautiful spiritual community and our teachings. We want to have a vision that's powerful. But me turning my attention towards what I don't want is causing a lot of problems. I'm actually feeding the angry wolf, not the compassionate wolf. I teach this stuff all week long, really, on some level. And in one of my groups, I work with some adolescents. And this one young lady's 18 years old. And they're healing, I work with all wide spectrum people who are healing from the patterns of addiction. And I do emotional regulation, stuff like that, and meditation practices and stuff like that. So just one young girl, she's really sweet, but she's very closed off. She likes to sleep in most of my groups. She doesn't really want to participate, and she kind of doesn't want to really be open. She's not open-minded, right? So we were talking about the garden of the mind and how our mind is stand guard at the threshold of our mind. That we can set intentions for our day, we can set intentions for our life. So like a seed is like an intention, right? So if I plant my garden, create my garden, as the garden is growing, we have to take care of it, we have to nurture it. So we set intentions for, let's say, unity consciousness for myself, in my life, and in the world. Then I have to tend to that seed. I have to take care of it, I have to nurture the seed, I have to feed it, I have to water, protect it, right? But I also have to weed the seed, right? You have to weed it, you gotta do the weeding, right? Where do those damn weeds come from? You can plant the damn things, where do they come from? Anybody know?
Everywhere.
They're everywhere, aren't they? Anyone who's ever had a garden has weeds. So weeds aren't bad in and of themselves. They're just weeds being weeds, aren't they? Right? But we got to pull, it's wise to pull them. If you want to set some intentions for your life, you don't want the weeds to overtake. You want to pull them and throw them in the compost, right? Mm-hmm. So the weeds have no power, do they? Mm-hmm. Over your garden. They only have the power that we let them have, we let them grow. Right? So I'm telling this story with these adolescents, and this one girl said, just pull the weeds. Then we start talking about how does that relate to our mind, our thoughts, and negative thought patterns. This old beliefs of I'm not enough, I don't measure up, this kind of thing. This negative thinking, okay? This negative thinking that I've got to pull the weeds, and that's when the girl said, she lit up, she's like, that's what I want. I want to pull all the negative weeds, I don't want them anymore. I don't want to have the negative thinking anymore. I don't want that, I want it to all be gone. And she looked at me with this hope in her eyes and said, it's not going to happen. She's like, what? Yeah, us fighting against the negative is not helping. We want to pull them. We don't want to pretend like they're not there. We want to pull them and throw them in the compost. But they are not who we are. The negative weeds are not who we are. They're not going to, everybody's ever had a garden has weeds. Anybody has a brain and a mind has negative thoughts, don't we? We all have positive, we all have negative. We don't want to get rid of them. Actually, maybe at some level, these negative thought patterns are trying to protect us. Part of that tribal, right, us against them mentality, that negative side maybe is there to protect us at some level. But we want to shine a light on it. We don't want it running the show. So your negative thoughts have no power. They have no power. They only have the power on some level that we let them have. See? So it's important for us to stand guard at the threshold of our mind. So in closing, I'm going to read a treatment from Dr. Ernest Holmes, okay? And it ties so nicely into what we're talking about today. So be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that you are, I am, we are the light of oneness, the light of God. That you are the Christ, the essence of the living God within. And know this with me. I am the presence of peace within me. I am the manifestation of love within me. My mind is poised in peace and beauty. All sense of fear, all sense of doubt is gone. I shine a light. I rest in calm trust and rely on the law of spirit to bring me good, to bring good into my experience. I contend with none. I argue with none. I am filled with a wonderful peace and light and love. There is no uncertainty about my future and no fear as a result of my past. I live in an eternal now, this present moment, and is filled with the light of good. Goodness and beauty follow me. Goodness and beauty is within me. Goodness and beauty is me. Peace and joy accompany me. Happiness and wholeness fill my entire being with the realization of love and perfection. And so it is.
Thank you.